Alright, let's talk about something that's gonna change the way we navigate the world, literally. Google Maps just dropped its biggest update in over a decade, and personally, I think this is a game changer. They're calling it Immersive Navigation, and it's not just a facelift, it's a complete rethink of how we interact with maps. But here's the thing, what makes this really interesting is how deeply AI is woven into it. Google's Gemini models are now powering this new 3D view, pulling data from Street View and aerial photography to make the maps look more like, well, reality. And that's not just a cool tech flex, it's about making navigation more intuitive and less stressful. From my perspective, this is Google's way of saying, we're not just about directions anymore, we're about experience. Now, let's dive into what this means for drivers. One thing that immediately stands out is how immersive navigation tackles a problem we've all faced, that moment when you're driving and the next turn sneaks up on you. Google's solution? A smarter zoom feature in transparent buildings that let you see more of the route ahead. What many people don't realize is how much this small change could reduce anxiety while driving. It's not just about showing you the next turn, it's about giving you context. And here's where it gets even more fascinating, the voice guidance now references turns after the next one. If you take a step back and think about it, this is Google trying to make navigation feel less like a reactive task and more like a proactive journey. But what really caught my attention is how this update is addressing route trade-offs. For example, maps will now tell you if a longer route means less traffic or no tolls. In my opinion, this is Google acknowledging that time isn't the only factor we care about when choosing a route. It's about giving users more control and transparency. And as you approach your destination, immersive navigation doesn't just drop you off, it helps you get your bearings with street view imagery, building entrances, and parking info. A detail I find fascinating is how this could make those last few minutes of a trip way less frustrating. I mean, who hasn't circled a block trying to find the right entrance? Now, let's talk about the AI angle, because it's impossible to ignore. Gemini is the backbone of this 3D mapping, but what this really suggests is that Google is doubling down on AI as the future of its products. Personally, I think this is both exciting and a little unsettling. On one hand, AI-driven features like this can make our lives easier. On the other hand, it raises a deeper question, how much are we relying on AI to interpret the world for us? And while Google says Gemini isn't making live changes to navigation, it's clear that AI is shaping how we see and interact with our environment. This isn't just about maps, it's about the bigger trend of AI becoming invisible yet indispensable in our daily lives. Finally, let's talk rollout. Immersive navigation starts today on Android and iOS, but it'll take a few months to fully roll out. Car interfaces like Android Auto and CarPlay might take a bit longer, which is a bummer for drivers. But if you take a step back and think about it, this staggered rollout is actually smart. It gives Google time to iron out any kinks before it's everywhere. What makes this really interesting is how this update could set a new standard for navigation apps. In my opinion, Google's not just updating maps, it's redefining what a map can be in the age of AI. So, here's my closing thought, immersive navigation isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about making the journey itself more intuitive, less stressful, and maybe even a little enjoyable. But it also forces us to ask, as AI takes over more of these tasks, are we gaining convenience at the cost of something else? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this the future of navigation, or is Google overcomplicating something that's already pretty simple? Either way, one thing's for sure, the next time you open Google Maps, it's not gonna look the same.